I'm having a little go at this freebie quilt block pattern. I want to make probably a table runner that's kind of a tablecloth over a table that's a bit scruffy. It has things underneath, so it would be probably a few blocks in a row, unless I lose interest early, in which case it'll turn out like a placemat or something like that. But we'll see how I get along. There are lots of different blocks in it, you see. I'm thinking of doing another freebie one that's done in applique, but this one, if you look at, we'll look at ones that I only have two together for, because you put them together, two together at a time. You first cut out a square, and then a square of whatever. You have three colours in it, a square of your second colour. Put the two squares together, draw a line down the middle diagonally, and a 1/4 inch seam on either side, draw a line for that, sew it on either side, and then you cut it down the middle. And you end up with one side of each, you see, like that. And then they're sewn together, you've sewn them together. So then you do rows. So you've got two sewn together there, two sewn together, and then you sew here, you fold it over and sew it there. And then you're going to sew rows that way. I haven't done these before, so this is why I'm being a bit kind of really thinking about it very carefully when I'm doing it. But this one is all sewn with all the edges tucked in, and then that will go on. I actually have a very nice white cotton thrifted pillowcases, plural, to put some blocks on. So a white background they'll go on. But the other block that I want to do, it's from some Jane Austen 250-year anniversary free quilting blocks, and some of the designs are applique designs. So I'm going to try an applique one as well, maybe. But so I'm in the middle of the sewing here, and you can see how I have seam allowances marked out in pencil, and I'm just going along those. It's not easy to line it up, to be honest with you. It's a challenge. To get the tops, you see the way this one wasn't, I mean, it's not perfect, you know. And then getting those nice and straight across the top. I can see why people buy those cutters that you just roll along like a pizza slicer type thing to get all your edges perfect. And then they do things like buy little seam rulers and these kinds of things. I have this thing, but you can buy little thinner rulers that will rule like a 1/4 inch seam and things like that. They've all sorts of gewgaws for this, but this is a reasonably easy patch for somebody to have a go at, somebody like myself whose skills wouldn't be fabulous. I mean, I'm learning things like, you know, what direction seams go in and all this kind of thing, and how far up to the edge to sew your seams. You see the way I'm trying to avoid having a lot of bulkiness going on, because you've got several pieces of fabric meeting in one place. So there's all kinds of techniques involved, and some people are very good at this, and some people like myself are just learning. But something I like about this is it gives you instructions to do how to do it, more or less. It assumes you know that you know how to do the sewing bit. Now I'm actually having to look that up. Different people have different ways of doing the sewing for these. But that technique of starting in from the edge, doing a little back stitch, going back a little bit, and then coming along so you don't have a bulky bit right in the corner where you're going to do another seam maybe across when you're joining rows. Stuff like that. You pick that up online, you know, looking in different places and find a style of doing it that you think suits you, you know. The only thing I hate about it is you have to iron things. load ironing. And before you start putting pieces together, you iron the seams down, and then when you're going to when you're putting joining the rows, you're doing ironing then again, and presumably there's a few lots of ironing. But I mean, it's not a huge project, it's a very small project for somebody having a go at this kind of thing for the first time, just for fun. I mean, I'm a lot more comfortable with the little tiny English paper piecing hexagons, because I've had more practice with that. You saw me doing a camera case. There's a lot of stuff about that over on my, well, there's one in a video actually that has various baking and things like that, and gardening and things like that in it as well. Is there gardening in that? There might be, I can't remember. In my other channel called Your Analog Life. But over here, you'll see the camera case on my community post page, because I showed a few different stages of it, but it shows me kind of not very far progressed into it over on that kind of multiple hobbies video on the other channel. So we'll see how I get along with this, and I'll keep you posted on it. I'll stick in a few more clips of this and see how I get along. I have invested in a few tools to help me, like things like fabric pens that disappear when you iron the thing. It might encourage me to iron it, to get the colours out if I have to draw a straight line. But actually getting along ground with pencil at the moment, pencil lines. So you might be wondering why the heart is green rather than pink or red. I couldn't find any nice reds at the time. I have a little pack of reds now, but you look for reds online, you end up with everything looking like Christmassy sort of reds, with all Christmassy patterns and everything that aren't very nice. I did get a very nice pink though. A pink pack, still in its plastic because it just arrived this morning. So I have lots of pinks in there. There's a few that I don't like, but there's like nice pink ginghams and everything. So I could have done it in that had I been patient and waited. But I think a green heart is a bit different. And I like the sort of plant theme. I like plant theme things. I don't know about this green, whether I like it or not, but on a crisp white, it might be nice. And then the next panel I do might be kind of those sort of pinks. So, you know, you've got the contrast there, and then white between them, and nice crisp white cotton. They could be quite nice. So the table is like this kind of a surface on it, and one panel, I don't know like how big it'll turn out, because it keeps getting smaller when you sew it together, you see, but there might be one panel on the front of this block, and then a panel hanging down the front of the table to hide the stuff under the table, and a panel in on one side. The other side isn't really visible, but so 3 panels it would be. So that would be 3 different blocks I'm doing. So we'll see how it goes, and I'm just filming it in case it goes okay. If it goes incredibly disastrous, you might never see it, you see, because I don't want to put everybody off doing it. But I have loads of different fabrics and everything to choose from now, and I even have some nice reds in there, because I'd used quite a lot of my stash of fabrics for the last project that I did. That little tiny camera case used up a lot of the last of my stash of cute cotton fabrics. So it's nice to have new stuff in stock now. I have it all done in rows, and the next bit of instructions is to sew the rows together, and they're talking about sewing them together with the seams in alternating directions, and it involves the iron, doesn't it? So alternating directions, I presume, means that. So in row 1, if that seam was going that way, this seam would be pressed that way. so that when you have them front to front and you're sewing them together, you're not going to have a big bulky bit there. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to get the iron out again tomorrow morning. All those bits kind of have to be neatened up as well. They didn't get very much taken off them because, you know, they didn't shrink because they're plain panel. So there was no bits being cut out of them or anything. But it did actually work so far. So that'll cheer me up about having to get the ironing board out. Yay, it actually worked. And it's not tiny. I didn't lose too much fabric. In fact, I was showing you a shrunken version because I had this row down here somewhere. I think that was the last row I sewed or something. I don't know what I did. So yeah, see, it's handy to leave them on a board because even at this stage I could get confused. I know I'm going to be sewing those two together first after the dreaded ironing. Okay, so it should look like that because that row, I wasn't showing it. It actually worked. I can't believe it. It hasn't been ironed yet, but I mean, it's not too bad in terms of lining up, you know. It more or less lines up. So I'll keep going. I have another 2 rows to do. There's obviously a bit of trimming off on this one before I have to do it, and there's all these neatening up things you do before you do your joining. And I think everybody has their own way of doing things as well. There seem to be various ways to do them that people recommend on the internet. So I'm just looking at the ways that made sense to me. So I'll draw in the rest of my guideline across here before I sew that one. And the way I'm thinking of these is that if I draw the line, I know it's supposed to be 1/4 inch in, but you know the way you can go a bit wrong. So what I'm thinking is if it hits the top of the line where I'm intersecting on having sewn my sewn lines already, where I was joining triangles, that it must be joining it in the right place. Is that a logical way to think? So that should work, you see, if I'm catching just the very top of the triangles there with the line. It's like Christmas as a kid, wondering did you get something you like or something you won't like. And I can see a mistake already, but it's okay. It's not too bad. If I can get the middle bit to join together, I won't have too many glaring mistakes. Last join coming up. Here's my latest innovation, sitting on the floor to sew. And it's pretty comfy. And here is the table that I'm trying to dress up a bit. Looking pretty gnarly. And 2 of the panels are going to come down the side to hide all the stuff going on under it, hopefully. So on the instructions, it says to press the seams open. But I was looking at this and it just doesn't want to press them. Oh, pressing them open would be like opening up that, pressing and going along and doing that for all the seams, unless they mean just the rows you do that on, I don't know. But again, pressing seems to be a very personal thing, that some people press things to the side all the time. Some people press them open and some people do a combo. So I'm just doing what the fabric seems to want to do. And, you know, it's looks okay on the other side if I do that. So that's what I'm going with. I was supposed to end up with 9.5 inches square, which I'm way off on. I'm only 9 inches because I was inaccurate cutting. But it's okay, and it'll hold together. And if it's small, it looks small in the middle of the table there, that's fine because it's going to be on the white cotton with a border running around it as well in some kind of I don't know what kind of a border design I'm using yet. So It's just a thing in the center of that, but the other bit of colored pattern running around the border, between that and the white edging, is going to finish it nicely. But I'll make the blocks first. So that's the first block, and the second block is going to be probably in the pinks or pinks and reds, and I'll show you that in the next video. So I'll make the 3 blocks before I start putting it together. So I'm happy enough for somebody that wasn't good at cutting or very experienced in this kind of piecing, with the way it turned out, and it wasn't super hard. Most of my wondering about how to do it happened with wondering where to start and end seams, and where to what directions to press things in and what order to put things together in. And that's why I'm spending so much time showing you the back of it. If you've never done anything like this before and wanted to have a go, it's actually not a super stressy thing to do. It's kind of fun seeing it coming together, you know. And hopefully it'll be something pretty at the end. So here's the construction of it again. There's the central panel and the front panel. That's the one with the heart. Then another block this way, and a panel for the front. So this is the top of the coffee table. These are the sides. And then we're not doing one for that side. So 3 panels that hang down. I didn't want all the bulk of a tablecloth, you see, hanging out over the side with all the flouncy thing and everything tripping over it. So that's my funny little design there.